Welcome to episode 3 of One Question, where we explore the elephant in the room connected with the work that we bring to the world. These are conversations about the misperceptions people have with our work, sometimes from the conversations we have in our own head, what we've been taught, or societal norms. I'm your host, Stephanie McAuliffe, an energy alchemist and boundary strategist and founder of The Way of the Diamond Warrior. I guide leaders to build a business that's a reflection of their soul's calling. Today, we're joined by Tess Cheng, a co-author of The Confident You, The Raw Conversations book. Tess is a certified health and wellness coach with over 13 years of experience helping ambitious women build sustainable energy, focus, and resilience. With a master's in clinical nutrition from NYU, she supports entrepreneurs and high-performing professionals in creating simple habits that prevent burnout and fit into our real life. Welcome, Tess.
Stephanie, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about this conversation we're going to have.
Yeah, me too. So tell us more about the work that you do and what is the elephant in the room, the misperception you want to take a bite out of today regarding this important work you bring to the world.
Yeah, so I run a private practice in health and wellness. And my clients are mainly busy professionals, entrepreneurs, who just have very demanding schedules. And very often they just neglect themselves and they forget that health is really the foundation of life. And there's so much we can do to take charge. But at the same time, it's easy to forget about it until, you get really unwell. Because all the time, you're actually focusing on all the other things and you're not prioritizing self-care, for example. And so my work is actually there to help people stay focused and to remind them how important it is to actually take charge and to actually build some sustainable lifestyle habits they can incorporate into their daily routines.
So what's the biggest misperception in and around the work that you do?
The biggest misconception, I would say people feel that you can always wait to actually take care of yourself. It's not an everyday process. They would say, well, when perhaps, for example, like sleep, they say, well, I will wait, when I retire, then I'll find time to do all of that. But health doesn't wait for you. Your system doesn't just put on hold and say, okay, I'll wait till you have time to go on vacation. In the meantime, we will just push along and do everything we can. No, it actually has a cost. You don't, get enough sleep, you don't get enough rest, or you suffer from too much stress. All that will actually, have an impact on your health. You might not feel any, and you might not feel unwell right at the beginning. It's so subtle because your body is very good at compensating. So, and every day, and especially if you don't feel that 100% on a daily basis, you get used to feeling that way. And you don't realize that, oh, perhaps if I make some changes, I can just feel so much better. I can have so much more focus and be more energetic, when I get up in the morning, for example.
It reminds me of, I see a lot of people in cycles of they'll push to get a big project done and then crash and kind of rest and take it easy and do that for a couple weeks, maybe a month, and then feel better and re-energized and repeat that cycle. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts because it's this cycle that people continue to get into of, I need to get this thing done. I need to accomplish this thing on my to-do list. I need to push to get this unreasonable project done that was foisted on me by senior leadership. And we do it to achieve. And yet, what are we really achieving? So what's one of the subtle things that you get people to do that actually brings them into a more mindful journey for themselves without feeling like they have to, I'm going to say, sacrifice their career?
Yes, it's a balance act, really. Um, I always say, well, do some, take the first step, don't try to do it, 10 things all in one go. Don't make all those changes. Just find one thing you want to improve on. If you want to have more energy, perhaps look at your sleep. And work on that and just build on it. Perhaps change one or two things about your sleep schedules if you can. And perhaps do something like even throughout the day, have some small breaks in between, some brain breaks. And breath work is very good. I would say, you can always start in the morning and do 10 minutes breath work and before you actually begin the day, and then perhaps then you feel more energized, you feel you are more at peace as what you're doing, and then you can just squeeze those little things in, and it's also very important, as you've said in the book, in a chapter, to have boundaries. You can't say yes to everything to everyone. You have to, you have to know your limits. And we only have 24 hours a day. Everyone is given the same number of hours. And yes, you want to please everyone and you want to do, take on all these projects, but it's not realistic. And when you are actually doing all these things, you're not focusing on one thing. And that actually puts more stress on on your system, on your mind, on your physical self.
So, do you find that your clients or people in general will try to distract themselves from taking this journey? Because a lot of times there's the underlying reasons of why feel like I need to work the way I do, why I eat the way I do, why I push the way I do. And do you see that? And for those that come to you to say, well, my schedule is just so big and so full that I don't have time. What
Yes.
what is that thing that can help move the needle for them without feeling like they're squeezing it in? Because I've found sometimes if we feel like we're squeezing something in, it's easy to squeeze it out.
Oh, yes. Yes. And it's all the mindset, rather than actually saying, um, it's something I just have to give time to, and I don't have time to go to the gym, and how am I supposed to do that? And that's where the mindset comes into it. It's actually to actually embrace the idea rather than resent it, because it's something that's actually good for you. That's going to help you to actually be more effective and perform better. And it enables you to stay healthy, so you're not and you're less likely to, get sick because your immune system is working better. And then it allows you to show up, in a much better way. So it's really important to actually, when they come to me because they care, because they feel that there's something they can do about what they are not doing. Otherwise they wouldn't be they wouldn't be seeing me. So I will always ask them why they want to do that. Why is there a desire? What's driving you to want to get better, to feel better? Why do you feel, you need my support? And knowing that why really makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. And yet sometimes people don't know their why. I,
Yeah.
and I think it's sometimes, do you notice that there's a difference in generations? Because I look at like my father's and mother's generation, which was you work hard until you retire and then you go sit on the couch or read books or play golf.
Yeah.
But I remember having a conversation with his sister a number of years before she passed, and she always wanted to travel, but her husband didn't.
Mhm.
After her husband passed, she wasn't in the, her health was at a point where she wasn't really able to travel. And I remember her saying to me, the golden years aren't that golden.
Yeah.
So do what you want to do now.
Yeah.
So do you find those generational differences?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yes. Um, and yeah, they feel that, they can put everything on hold. And then when they have the time, and I mean, that's a classic case of what you've just mentioned. And I've come across that a lot, especially even with my friends. Um, when they get to their 60s, 70s, they just not able to do what they thought they could. And so that, their advice to the younger generation is always, do what you can now. Don't wait. But I mean, personally, I'm very passionate about traveling. So I really, that I can relate to that. And I feel that it's true. You can't wait. But in the meantime, do what you can with your health, because it's worth it. It's really the foundation. Because when you don't have your health, nothing else matters.
Right. It's so
Yeah.
true. It's so true. So do you think sleep or diet is more important? If you could pick one, because we can't, to your point, we can't do it all. And
No.
that can feel overwhelming to think I
Hmm.
need to go to the gym and change my diet and sleep more and create a whole nother to-do list for myself.
Yes. Yes. I would say we can't do it all in one go. But so at the beginning, if you want to make some changes, I would say focus on your sleep first.
Mm.
And once you actually get that under control, then work on your eating choices. I don't, I'm not, I prefer using, the term eating choices rather than diet, because diet just feels restrictive. But when you actually know how to make wise eating choices, then they allow you to be at home doing it or even in different environments. And that's what we want, rather than following a strict plan. But again, it's really having that mindset of actually knowing what to do wherever you happen to be and whoever you are with. But answer your question, I would say sleep. Sleep is really important and is often very overlooked. And it's really important for our brain health. And we want to feel sharp and focused and energetic all the time. And it's just some very small things that people can do to actually improve their sleep.
So, two thoughts come to mind. The first is the old Warren Zevon song of I'll Sleep When I'm Dead.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
I know personally, when I'm not rested, my diet isn't as good.
Yeah.
I don't want to work out. And
Hmm.
I like that you use the word choice because everything really is a choice. And we
Yeah.
get to choose if we're going to doom scroll
Hmm.
as we lay in bed rather than turning off the phone or the iPad or whatever and reading a book because we
Yeah.
know that the blue light from the computers and our phones affects our brain waves and
Hmm.
affects the quality of our sleep.
Yes.
And so everything really is a choice. And through
Hmm.
choice, we get to empower ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. And when you're tired, when you're sleep deprived, you're not necessarily going to make the choices that you normally would be able to, because you don't have that willpower. You're tired. You don't feel good,
Mhm.
and that's why it's so important to actually get enough sleep, and to make sure that it's of good quality. Um, and that way your day starts in the right way. Yes, I totally understand. If you're tired, you're not good. You're not going to be able to get yourself to the gym, even when you don't, if you don't feel like it. But if you actually feel good and energetic, you think, okay, I don't feel like going to the gym, but I'm going to go
Mhm.
because that's important to me.
Mhm.
But when you're sleep deprived, you think, forget it. I just feel lousy. I'm irritable. I'm impatient, and I'm just going to eat something to make me happy,
Mhm.
for the moment.
Mhm.
You become less sensible.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And I love that the gift that you are giving to the
Mhm.
listeners is your sleep guide.
Yes, it is. It comes with 28 tips for 28 days. And the listeners can sign up, download it, and print it out and use it as a reference. And, there are 28 tips there. So, for example, one of them would be to have caffeine, no later than after 2 o'clock, for example, and perhaps have an earlier dinner. So, you can pick and choose and see what works for you. And some might work better at the beginning than the others.
I love that because it's not that you have to implement all of them. It's take what you like and leave the rest.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly. We
yet,
all have different schedules.
yeah. And when we start choosing things that help us feel better and sleep better, we're more apt to do them rather than, as you said, diets are restrictive. And feeling
Yeah,
restricted in our life, we get to empower ourselves.
yeah, exactly. Very much so.
So, any final thoughts as we wrap up this conversation?
Yes, the final thought is you don't have to work, to the listeners, is that, when you're building all these habits, you don't have to work alone. Get some support. That's really easier to actually have someone to talk it through, a friend, a community. And this way, you can keep each other accountable, or your friend can keep you accountable. Or even, when you try to build some habits, you can talk them through. Which could be more fun. If you want to go out and to have an activity, find a friend to join you. That's what life is about.
It is. I love it. And it can be one of, hey, I'm doing this new thing.
Yeah,
I'd love your support.
yeah. And then the friend will say, "Oh, I've been looking to improve my sleep too. Let's keep each other accountable and check on each other."
I love that. Tess, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for an amazing conversation.
Thank you,
Empower
Stephanie, for
ourselves.
this wonderful conversation. Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me.